So you started out as a soloist. I saw, did you support Britney Spears on tour?
Yes, I did. So back in, I think it was 2004. So it was called the Onyx Hotel Tour. And it was right when it was the era where she had Toxic come out. So like Britney's in her prime,
Amazing,
just like
yeah.
This is Bronnie, every Wednesday from 6 p.m. The Bronnie Show on KCC Live.
What's up, you guys? You're listening to The Bronnie Show, and I'm joined here with the amazing Skye SWEETNAM, aka Sever from the band Sumo Cyco.
Awesome. Happy to be here. I'm excellent. I'm stoked to be on the show. And if the fans out there don't know, we actually got to meet in person and play a show together. So that's really cool, where I got to meet you at the beginning of before all this lockdown
Before the
stuff
craziness,
happened.
yeah. That was such
Exactly.
a fun time. As soon as all this madness is over, we have to play another gig soon, because that was such a fun gig. And
I miss UK. I miss everyone over there. I miss just touring in general, being around people, socializing,
Right.
Everyone knows what I'm feeling right now.
Totally. So how stoked are you to finally have your latest single, Bystander, out?
It's been 2 years in the making, so I am very, very stoked. It's been a process. I mean, with so much that's happened in the past year, with the band, we were fortunately, before all the coronavirus hit, we were super, super busy. We were just getting lots of touring opportunities, and we just kept pushing back the recording and the releasing of the record because we would get another tour and then we'd be sent out on the road again. And then we were fortunate to sign a record deal with Napalm Records at the beginning of 2020. So literally,
congratulations on that.
Thank you. We just, put ink to paper, and it was like, oh, this is going to be great. 2020 is going to be amazing.
I know.
And then obviously the virus hit, and then touring was shut down. We didn't know if it was a good time to release music. We didn't know. There's just so much uncertainty and just uncertainty in the music business. Some people were planning tours for like a few months, hoping that it would go away. And some people were canceling everything. And so it just kind of, I think, gave us like a time to kind of reflect and go, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing? Like, are we on the right trajectory? How are we going to cope with the industry this way? And so it was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions. And then we kind of just came to the conclusion that no matter what, we're musicians. We love music. The fans still need music. We just need to keep getting it out there. No matter if touring exists, no matter if the world's in chaos, it's just important to have music out there. So we started up for the launch, and then finally we're able to release last week our song Bystander as the first song leading up to our new album coming out in May.
That's so exciting. I feel like everyone had a really, really good start of 2020. Yeah. And then it all just dipped. But I am in love with the new single. It's such a jam. It's literally been in my head for days. So before we chat about your new album, Initiation, out May 7th, tell the listeners who aren't as familiar with you guys, which I'm sure they will be after this, tell the listeners more about your band. How long have you guys been around for? What's your vibe? Any inspirations you guys have?
Yeah, of course. So Sumo Cyco has been around for 10 years. I can't believe I'm saying that, but we put out our first single in 2011 online. And at the very beginning of this band, we just had, I was actually a pop artist. So to give a little context, is back in my teen years, I was signed to Capitol Records, and I did a few pop albums and worked on, everything from like Disney Channel to like the Barbie Diaries DVD. So I was like the voice of Barbie in a DVD and stuff. So I had a very pop background. And then while I was touring on the road, I hired a band, and the guitarist of my band was this guy named Matt. And we got along really, really well. And he had his own band. So the two of us were always friends, but he had his band called Dodger. I was doing my pop thing. And I was around 19. So I had kind of decided my pop career wasn't like rolling the way I wanted it to. And I kind of asked him like, hey, like, do you want to maybe like just kind of write some songs? And Matt and I just kind of buckled down, and we like looked through all our inspirations. And one of the things we both really loved was the band Skindred out of UK.
Yes.
And loved the fact that they could be so heavy, but still you could just dance to all those dance hall rhythms. So, and I give Benji and all the guys in Skindred credit for the fact that they really inspired the original sound of Sumo Cyco. And then we just started writing music, and we started really loving it. And both of us kind of like started putting our other projects on the back burner.
Yeah,
started focusing on Sumo Cyco, and we just started releasing videos online and music. And at the beginning, we had really no intention of like where it could go, whether we'd be touring, whether, you know, we'd put out an album even. We were just like, let's just put some singles out there. And then it kind of grew organically from fans and starting local shows and then getting out there. And so we're very, I consider us, as far as the genre goes, like a very party band. We love to mix like lots of different genres, whether punk or metal, dance hall, rock, but it just has to be fun. And for us, I always kind of say it's like almost like a metal version of No Doubt, like a bit of like a heavier.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Of like No Doubt. We really do love like calypso and like just like inserting some weird kind of little rhythms in there, as well as like the heavy guitars. And I love to try to experiment with my voice too, from like even like rapping to screaming to singing. So just kind of all across the board. But like I said, as long as we're having fun doing it, that's like the main thing we want to get across.
Totally. And that's what I love about you guys. You guys literally tick all the boxes, and your fan base, they're amazing as well.
Yeah, so
it's just great to see all over social media as well. So let's talk about the music video to Bystander, because it's amazing. So much work got put into it. I was watching the behind the scenes video yesterday, and it's so interesting. It's just filled with crazy colors. The visuals are insane. So how did you come up with the idea? And was it all filmed in quarantine? Did it take a couple of months to film? And you edited it as well. So yeah, tell me all about that.
Yeah. So the entire concept is part of a larger story. We tend to kind of involve our fans in being part of our world we call Cyco City. And every music video we've ever done is kind of like takes place in this almost like alternate universe where there's just like weird characters and kind of weird things happen, whether it's like teleportation or just anything goes in Cyco City. And one of the themes for our new album Initiation is these 4 clubs or gangs. And when I first launched the record, I had a quiz available, which I'm going to work on so everyone can take the quiz hopefully ASAP. I'm working on my website right now, but it lets you decide which of those 4 gangs you belong to based on like your own.
I am so going to take part in that. So going to do that quiz.
Yeah, it's like it depending on like what you would do in a certain situation or what like kind of like styles you like. It'll just ask you a bunch of questions, and then you can decide like what your allegiance is, or if you want to be part of all of the gangs, because that's cool too. So the idea of Bystander weaves in the real world's meaning of bystander, which is like kind of being sat in a house and you're looking outside your window or looking on the TV or through your phone and being like, what is going on in the world? And I'm sitting here and I can't be a part of it, but I'm just watching everything unfold. And that's why the video has me looking through a telescope and watching the news on TV and then looking outside my window and like the whole world's just like blowing up or giant spiders are coming.
Yeah, I love that part.
Fire. Like, I guess those are all metaphors for how I felt like watching the news and watching everything happen in the world. It just seems like almost like a movie. It doesn't even seem real. So it's like the surreal feeling. And then the underlying meaning of the video is also my character in it. Glory is part of the club, Not Sorry Sorority, which is kind of like the femme empowerment, independent gang of the 4, and she's stuck in the house owned by Malice and Company, which is more of the kind of like bougie, educated, upper class gang. And so she's kind of finding her own voice within being in the kind of oversight of and this may give a little teaser away, her parents are part of the other group or gang. So she's finding where she belongs at the same time as feeling like she needs to escape the world that's going crazy. And so at the very end of the video, she just jumps out of the window.
I love it.
Like, take this anymore. I'm just leaving.
Oh, it's amazing. And so I loved how you had like loads of props, like, you know, the haunted looking kind of house in it with all the smoke machines, and you're looking amazing in the video. So jealous. You look amazing.
Yeah, so I just love, Matt and I just love making videos. So we have our home studio upstairs here, where it's just like an unfinished big room, and we just film everything there. And a lot of the props are just recycled from other videos or other things that we've done. We just love like collecting things, even if we see something on the side of the road or our neighbors are getting rid of their kids' toys. We're like, oh, we'll take that and we'll paint it funky colors and like stick it in our attic. So
that's awesome. It makes it very personable as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of a treasure hunt, because all the videos that we've done, you can almost like find the same objects kind of used in different ways.
Yeah, like little Easter eggs in each thing.
Very true. Yeah.
So we are going to play our first music game. This is Would You Rather Musician Edition.
Would you rather? 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 Would you rather eat my shits or breathe?
So I'm going to ask you 3 would you rather questions. Okay, so cue the serious music. Right,
okay.
So question number 1, we have, would you rather never play an instrument again or never sing or songwrite ever again?
I'm going to have to say instrument, just because singing and songwriting is, I guess, number 1 compared to that. But I have been trying to practice more piano lately. So I'm actually trying to get more into the instrumentation.
Epic.
But, yeah.
Oh, awesome. So would you rather play sold out 50 cap rooms all over the world in crazy intimate venues, and you can play that whenever you want? Or would you rather play half-filled stadiums around the world, but you can only play 5 times a year?
I think I'm going to take A.
Yeah?
I'm going to take the sold out one. So yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
I think it's like one of the best feelings, that when you can like pack in a room of people, no matter how big, just feeling that energy that everyone in there is like into it and
totally
and
on the
moving
same
in
level.
direction.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
I love that.
So number 3, you can only listen to 1 decade's worth of music forever. What decade are you going to choose?
Oh no, that one's a tough one.
It's such a hard one, right?
It is such a tough one. I mean, my childhood was very much inspired by the 90s. Obviously, I was a baby of the 90s, but I feel like early 2000s was like my teen years, which is like very much more ingrained into me. So maybe I'll say like early 2000s.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I would say the same. I would say if I could choose, it would probably be 95 to 05, that kind of...
Right.
So you started out as a soloist, working super hard, working your way up. And I saw, did you support Britney Spears on tour?
Yes, I did. So back in, I think it was 2004. So it was called the Onyx Hotel Tour. And it was right when it was the era where she had Toxic come out. So like Britney's in her prime,
amazing,
just like loved it. And I just so happened to be able to score that tour. So we did 50 shows around the world. We did like half of the shows in America, half of them in Europe. And it was just a whirlwind experience. I mean, when you're 16 years old and you're asked to like perform arenas for Britney Spears, like opening for Britney Spears, it's pretty much like there's no other dream that you could possibly like hope for more, because it was just like insane. Every city we went into, it was like everyone in the town was just like, oh, the Britney Spears concert's happening tonight. Like the news organizations knew about it. Everyone knew about it. And it was just crazy to be like, oh yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm performing there. And it was just surreal. And it was quite an introduction to, touring. And for someone like myself who was so young, having that being like it was like my 3rd or 4th tour that I'd ever done, and having that like as an experience so early on was like crazy. And I tell myself to this day, it still doesn't sink in. And at the time I was just so young and just happy to just be there and just experience life, that I don't think I realized how big of an opportunity it really was, and how rare it is to be able to, perform in front of that many people every night on one of the most sold out shows in the country that year. And it was pretty insane, but it was quite a cool experience. Britney was always very sweet to me. And I'm hoping the best for her in these days. I know with the whole Free Britney movement, I'm just hoping that everything's okay with her. And I know it's been a tough life for someone like Britney Spears going through everything she's gone through. So I just got to give props to her for helping me get my start and choosing me to go into it with her.
Totally, that's amazing. And so this song is a song I play frequently on my show. It's your song, Tangled Up in Me. I would say it's one of my favorite songs. Literally, I'll go for a walk, or if I'm lacking inspiration, I'll stick on a certain playlist and your song will always come on first. It's just such an amazing song. I just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you.
Big fan. So tell me, so you obviously met Matt. So how long did it take from you being solo to you both deciding on Sumo Cyco? How long did that all take?
Yeah, so I guess like I was 12 years old when I made the decision to like pursue music professionally, which is a pretty young age.
Yeah.
It's when I started recording my first demos and I started shopping myself around to like management and labels. So I started really, really young. And then I got signed when I was 14. And then, like I said, went on tour with Britney Spears when I was 16. And then it was, I put out a second record called Sound Soldier, which only came out in like Canada and Japan in my later teen years. So I was around like 17, 18. And then around 19, 20 is when I kind of decided to take a little bit of break, figure out my life. A lot of my friends were going to like university and college, and I was just deciding whether or not I wanted to do some post-secondary education or just keep going with music. And it was just a very confusing time, I think, for a lot of people when you're kind of transitioning from being a teen to an adult and kind of deciding like, do I want to do music for the rest of my life? Am I going to try other things? Am I going to travel? What am I going to do? And then Matt and I just had like a really great relationship. We really just bonded over the fact that we just kind of felt a little bit like misfits, and we just wanted to experiment with something new, let our creativity go. And that's, you know, when we started Sumo Cyco. So yeah, I was like, just in my early 20s when we released the first single. So now I've just entered my 30s now. So it's been like a wild life of different types of music. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey.
That's amazing. So how did you come up with the name Sumo Cyco?
Sumo Cyco was actually out of frustration of us not being able to pick a band name. It's like the hardest thing in the world to pick a band name. So every time I would think of a cool word or something that I thought maybe that could be a band name, I'd write it on a big sheet of paper. And I just had a brainstorming sheet of paper with tons of words. One day, like I said, we had to finalize a band name. We were playing a show and we needed to know what our band was going to be called. So I just looked at the list and I thought to myself, okay, what are 2 words that best describes what the sound of our band is supposed to be? And I circled sumo because I felt like it sounded big and massive in your face, can't miss it, kind of like a powerful sumo wrestler. And Cyco because it's a little bit crazy, a little off the wall, not typical. And I just thought I would take a little hint from Suicidal Tendencies and spell it CYCO, because psycho, I find is one of those words that's just like really weird spelling. And I thought no one on the internet will have Sumo Cyco spelled that way as like a handle for any of the Twitters or Instagrams and all that stuff. And I think that was also a factor too, is I want people to be able to find our band. Matt's band previously was called Dodger, and he always had such a hard time when people would search for his band Dodger. There'd just be so many search results that would come up that no one could find his band. So I thought I need something that as soon as you search it in Google, it's like the first thing to come up.
There.
So yeah,
that's great.
Lots of different factors that factored in, but that's how we came up with Sumo Cyco.
I love the name. It's amazing as well. Especially I think if you look at a festival list and you look at all the bands, you kind of do look out for the bands with the quirky names, don't you? And you go, oh, they sound cool. I'm gonna get into them. So
that's what we hope.
Yeah, totally. So now it is time for your song of the week.
Song of the week, song of the week.
So it is time to choose it. It can be any song that's, changed your life, a guilty pleasure, a favorite song by, your favorite band or artist. So what song are you going to pick?
So I'm going to pick Just a Girl by No Doubt.
Amazing.
And this one's obviously just a classic for, I think, any young girl that came up and kind of looked at Gwen and her being able to say, yeah, I am a girl and I'm doing this genre. I'm out here in the rock business. I'm doing my thing. And I just idolized her so much when that came out. And I think that's really, Gwen's been a huge inspiration for me as far as like a career trajectory and just everything she's been able to accomplish. I just thought that single just embodied like everything I wanted to be at that time. So it really changed my life as far as an artist goes.
Amazing. Great pick. So I saw on Napalm Records, they have a YouTube channel, and I saw that you guys did a house tour. And dude, your house is epic. So you live in an old church.
We do. Yeah. So there's something, I don't know, that always drew me to like old historic buildings. I just loved old schoolhouses. And whenever there was like an abandoned building in like my neighborhood or we were on tour and I could just go exploring and like look inside old historic buildings, there was something that always drew me to that. So when I was looking for a place to live, I just kind of thought, you know what, instead of looking at the residential, like there's like a website you can go to like look up houses or places to rent. And I was like, I'm going to look up the one that's for like industrial stuff. And I just like kind of stumbled upon this property and Matt and I ended up renting it for a few years. It used to be a daycare before we moved in here. So it had like all these little sinks and little cubby holes for the kids.
Little Play-Doh pieces everywhere.
Yeah. The walls were all just like funky colors and like it was just like a child's like play area. So we had to remove some of the little tiny sinks everywhere and little there's little toilets everywhere because when you run a daycare, I guess that's a big issue.
Yeah, totally.
And so we just got rid of all that. And then we just fell in love with being here, that we ended up buying it. And we ended up knowing the guy who converted it from like this old kind of falling apart church to the daycare. And he was our landlord for a few years and we got really close with him because he loves music. So he would come over and jam. And we have the best neighbors as well. They look after our dogs whenever we were on tour. So there's just like a lot of things that I've fallen in love with this. Like it's out of the way. It's like a little country, middle of nowhere area, but we just love it. We can play music here at all hours and no one complains, which is great. And then whenever we usually have fires outside, like a big bonfire, and all the neighbors will smell the fire going and come over, and it has just like a real sense of
that's great.
Community. Really fun. So we love living here. It's great.
That's awesome. And I saw that in your loft space, you do a load of your music videos there. So you've made sets, made walls and stuff like that, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's true. We just, like I said, we just repurpose everything. So for instance, one of the sets we made, we just like built some fake walls and then we had to convert our bus for tour. So then we just used the same wood and like built some bunks in our bus. So we're just constantly just figuring out kind of DIY ways to do things. And I think in this day and age, of course, with so much resources on like YouTube and like to be able to like learn how to do all the skills that you need to do to put out music, you can just really take a hold of the reins yourself and learn how to do it. Whether it's, from converting a van to go on tour, to building your own sets, to make music videos, doing your own podcasts, it's really about just kind of taking hold of what you want to do. And there's always like a kind of a DIY way to like figure it out.
Totally. And anything you want to do, there's always going to be a YouTube channel about that. So that's great. That is one good thing about social media, especially in quarantine. I've learned like so many different things, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we have our last game. It is 2 truths, 1 lie.
2 truths, 1 lie. 2 truths, 1 lie. 2 truths, 1 lie. 2 truths, 1 lie. 2 truths, 1 lie. 2 truths, 1 lie.
So I'm going to read out 3 facts and you have to choose the lie.
Okay.
So number 1 is, in 2000, Britney Spears' Oops, I Did It Again album sold more albums than Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP. Number 2, both of Adele's albums, 21 and 25, charted 2 years in a row in America. So in the space of 6 years, she had 4 years with the best-selling album. Or number 3, Fleetwood Mac's album, Rumours, sold more albums than Whitney Houston's The Bodyguard soundtrack. Which one is the lie?
I'm gonna go with number 1.
Oh, you are right. I've never had anyone pick the right one until now. So congrats on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about me knowing how big that Eminem got that I was just like, I don't know. I think that he probably won that one.
Yeah, it was a close call though. He sold 7.92 million records. Britney sold 7.89. So it was very, very close.
Oh, that is close. That is close. That's good. I'm glad I got it, but I'm like, oh, Britney, come on, you can do it.
Amazing. So we have some fun questions for you. So number one is, throughout your whole music career, what are some of your favorite milestones?
Oh my gosh, so many cool things. The one thing that really sticks out of my brain, like pops up right first, is doing the song with Benji Webb from Skindred. Yes. So like I explained earlier, they were a huge influence on us starting a band, and little did I ever know that my band would even be able to travel over to UK, let alone meet the band, let alone actually do a song with Benji. And just kind of circumstance happened, and you realize in that moment, I realized how full circle life can come, you know, when someone that like literally inspired you to start a band, you end up doing a song with. It's kind of like just like a cool moment that you're like, wow, we really have come this far. Like imagine somebody told me that when I was, you know, first starting the band, that I was gonna be able to actually like do a song with Benji Webb. And that was like a real kind of awesome moment for me. The other moment that happened in 2019, which we were so glad we were able to do, was play Download Festival.
Yes,
and
that's massive.
Yeah, it was such a cool experience. I'd been told so many times by all of our fans in UK how amazing Download Festival was. And honestly, I could have not even imagined how cool it was until I've actually experienced it myself. So being able to play not only the Avalanche stage we played, but we also got to play an acoustic set.
Yeah, an acoustic set. Yeah, that's awesome.
It was just so magical because it was like, you know how it is in UK. It's like raining one moment, sunshine the next. So it was like, as soon as the rain started coming down, everyone was huddling in the tent to try to get dry. And it was like perfect timing. We were just starting our acoustic set and everyone had run over from the other stages. And it was just like this packed tent of everyone just singing along, like a giant campfire sing along of everyone just singing along to the songs, acoustic style. And it was just such a cool moment. And yeah, I'll never forget it. It was really a really special thing. I'm so glad we were able to do that before everything hit, because there was talk about trying to not play Download until we had a proper record ready, since we were working on it. So if we had postponed it, like to try to do the later years, we wouldn't have had that opportunity because of what happened in the world. So it's always like a lesson to take advantage of things when they come. Sometimes you just never know if it'll come around again.
Totally, yeah. And from watching you guys on stage, your energy and you are made for Download Fest. So I'm so happy that you guys got to play it. That's awesome. So another question is, how long have you been studying extreme vocals for?
Well, to be honest, when I first started Sumo Cyco, it was like I admired people that could do like more like screams and more like aggressive sounding vocals. But I felt like I was always just like a poser, just like trying to do it, and I couldn't actually like, it didn't like click. And it wasn't until I started touring and actually every night practicing, like it's kind of that thing when you're on tour, it just forces you to just be on your game as far as a vocalist goes, because every night you're working those vocal cords. So you know, I'd be doing diligently my warm-ups and playing every night, and my voice just started getting stronger than I'd ever realized it could be. And I just would start noticing things coming out of me that I'd be like, whoa, like that's actually really like, that's great. Like that sounds better than I ever have. And so really that started, I think, on one of our first tours, I think in 2015, I think, that I felt like it really started to click, where the screaming became more comfortable and it didn't feel like I was straining, and I felt like I was finding that placement that really fit me. But it's quite a journey, because even the fact that we've been in quarantine so long, I haven't been singing like as much as I would be.
Same, yeah. And then you finally go to sing and it's like, oh God.
Totally. So I was actually yesterday, I was on the mic and it was like the first time I'd been like trying to record something in a while. And I was just like, okay, girl, like we need to start practicing more every day because I don't want to lose
Daily warm-ups, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what was the hardest part about playing Warped Tour?
Oh. Well, Warped Tour, if anyone out there has experienced like actually doing the tour, they will know that when you are on Warped Tour, the one thing that I think separates it from all other tours is not only the fact that you're traveling large distances, because some tours do that when you're traveling like 8, 9, 10 hours drive every night. But the difference is that you have to be at the location by 10 a.m. to load in so that you can get your merch tent set up before the crowds start coming in. Meaning that instead of a typical load in time of like afternoon, because you're playing a show in the evening, you have to be there so early. So thank God Matt can like survive on next to no sleep because he was just doing the late night drives for us because he didn't want my voice to get tired by, you know, staying up all night trying to keep up with the drives. He's like, you need your sleep. You need to rest your voice. So thank goodness he was willing to do those extra hours overnight to get us to the next city. But that was definitely some of the hardest parts was just like the grueling schedule and the heat. So we, when we did Warped Tour, our section of the tour was all in like the southern states. So it was all like the hottest possible areas in the States. And we didn't have air conditioning in our vehicle. It was just like sweaty, sticky all the time. And you don't get to shower very much. So we would hit campsites all the time whenever we had a chance to just
that's a good plan.
Find some water, jump in a lake somewhere, get some showers in. But yeah, it's honestly like you never realize how much you love a really amazing shower until you've been on Warped Tour. And
like, totally.
You just have a new appreciation for showering every day.
Amazing. And you don't get your set times, do you, until a certain time? So
exactly. So that's another reason why you have to be there so early is to even like figure out when you're playing. And then you have to the strategy is to try to get like out there and tell the fans waiting in line, like, hey, this is when we're playing, this is when you need to be by our stage, because you know, you could have tons of people that could just walk by and not know like when your set time is, miss your set time. So yeah, it's a lot of work to like constantly be like, okay, where are we going? Where's the next city? When are we playing? Like, and the grounds are so big. So you're just like walking around to try to find everybody. Half the time the cell phone service was horrible. So you like can't even call your band members to be like, where are you? So just like running across like massive steaming hot fields trying to find
everyone. It is ace because I went it was 2019. I went to the Pittsburgh date and because a few of my friends and bands were playing and I was in America at the time touring and I went and I've never been to because it's just a big festival gig, isn't it? It's a touring festival, which is insane. And there was literally just, you know, like this, just leaflets everywhere with bands saying, come see us at this time. A lot of band that they definitely, you know, work so hard, you know, telling everyone the stage times and stuff. And we had these big masks that are like these big skull masks that we wear sometimes. And I remember our drummer who was with us at the time, Andy, we were like, okay, you have to put the mask on and like walk down the line and like hand out flyers to everybody. Like it's gonna get the attention of everyone. And he's just like dying inside, like sweating, like can't see anything. He was like amazing though. Yeah. Okay, so we have the last question is any tips on self-love and confidence?
Oh, that's a good one. For me, it's just about accepting. It really is just about accepting exactly who you are and not trying to live up to any expectations of anyone else or the media's expectations of anything. And the more and more you can just kind of use yourself as a milestone to be like, I've come so far myself from A to B, like that is something to be proud of. And you don't need to compare your A to B to someone else's, you know, A to B. To me, that's the most important thing. And I think it's also good for people to know out there that even people like, you know, myself or people that are in, positions where they're, trying to be influencers or singers of bands or doing amazing things out there, they all have insecurities. Everyone I know in the entire world has insecurities. And you may look at someone and idolize them, but secretly inside they're, feeling unconfident in certain things or still struggling with, inner demons. And that's what I write a lot of my songs about, is just about overcoming your own self, like your own worst enemy, your own negative thoughts, and trying to rise above them. Because I think no matter who you are, where you are, what you look like, what you do, what you've accomplished, there's always something that's always going to be a challenge for you to overcome every day. So just if people can remember that they're not alone and that, don't try to compare yourself to other people, I think you'll be in a really good place.
Totally. That's great. So where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so Sumo Cyco is spelled SUMOCYCO, and you can find us literally on every social media platform, just at Sumo Cyco. And then for me personally, my name's Skye SWEETNAM, which is spelled with an E, so SKYE. SWEETNAM without the E, so SWEETNAM. And that is like Twitter, Instagram. And I think on my Instagram is the only one where there's like a period in between Skye and SWEETNAM. Someone took the other name, but whatever, I'm not mad. So yeah. And if you Google everything, you should be able to find us. And sumocyco.com is a great hub to kind of navigate from there, pre-order the new record.
Yes.
Essentially. And just check out the videos, check out the socials, all that good stuff.
Amazing. Skye, thank you so much for coming to the Bronnie show. It's been amazing.
Bronnie,
you are one of my favorite vocalists as well. So
oh, you're so sweet. I just want to say a huge shout out to all your fans out there. Bronnie's awesome. I admire your DIY spirit, you taking on all these projects and putting yourself out there, being so close to all your fans, just really giving them that attention that I think a lot of artists aren't as good with, being so close to their fans as you are. So I think that's a really awesome thing that you have going for you, girl.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is Bronnie on KCC Live. Follow Bronnie everywhere at Bronnie Music.